If you're watching this far and you actually believe that this podcast has some type of worth or has done something to you, can you please type in the comments, keep going? Can you please save this video? Because honestly, I want to quit. Welcome, my name is Titus Rhodes and this is Young Clarity, a podcast about thinking differently no matter how old or young you are. Whether it's creativity, self-improvement, or even your faith, we talk about it all. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 10 of the Young Clarity Podcast. I'm your host, Titus Rhodes, and today is the 10th episode. The topic of the Young Clarity Podcast today is quitting. Why does it feel weird? Why does it feel like it's old? Why does it feel like it's not the same anymore? Why does it feel like it's tiring? Why does it feel like it's getting scary? Why does it get dark outside? Why is it not as bright as it was when I was younger? Why is there less color in the world? Why is it not going the way I wanted it? Why didn't she say yes? Why didn't she stay? Why did she run away? Why did she do this? Why did she do that? Why did any of this happen to me? Why did he do this? Why did he do that? Why did he say that? What is going on? Quitting. When life gets tough, we decide to let go. I'm going to be real honest with you on this podcast for this 10th episode because I'm so excited to talk to everyone here. All 38 of you guys who follow me on TikTok and 16 of you who follow me on YouTube, Instagram 17, and my 2 plays I get each podcast. I'm going to be talking to all of you guys, my group of 60. I think I'm tired of this, respectfully. I think I'm tired of waking up and always having the new idea of coming to the camera and coming to the microphone and turning on the lights and turning on all the stuff I have to do. And I think I'm getting tired of talking and having to have a speech every single week. I'm getting tired of working double shifts of my job, of going to the gym 3, 4, 5 times, 6 times a week, of going to college, going to school as well, of writing short films and trying to keep up with deadlines, do my creative work, do the work that I love, because for some reason I don't characterize this as something I love to do the work I am wanting to do, to have the relationships that I want to have because I'm busy on a Thursday because I can't come in because I have to record the podcast today. I have to record the podcast on Thursdays. So Fridays, we have some time to edit. Saturdays, we have some time to edit. Sundays, we have some time to distribute and have it ready for Monday. And the impending cycle that it is every single week that I've been going through for the last 10 weeks to create every single week, to have no connections to any real audience or anything, to have no one watching, to sit in the room and talk to the camera that no one is looking at, to have the conversations with people that I want to have with people, but I don't have the money or the time to reach out and actually set up and schedule an actual sit down with the pod on them. Is this what it's like to have a podcast? Is this what consistency is like? Is this what effort is like? Is this what patience feels like? A slow and jawing process that requires you to wake up and do the same thing every single week, hoping, they say that doing something over and over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. It's stupidity. It doesn't make sense. That's what they say. And I'm here to tell you today that even though my episode was about progression, for some reason, I don't want to progress anymore. I am tired. I am worn out. I am grinding. I am trying to act like with a positive attitude every single week, but it for some reason feels like I don't have the ability to do that. What do you do when you quit? What do you do when your back's against the wall and everyone is looking at you, hoping and hoping and hoping for a different result, hoping that you can come up with a grand idea, hoping that you can figure it out? Is this what a pastor feels like every Sunday, waking up and no matter what they go through throughout their week, they have to come up to the pulpit and somehow remind people and give them hope even though they felt hopeless? But I'm not a pastor. I'm just a random guy sitting in his room talking to you guys about my opinions, which no one really asked for. I was watching a video from RDC, and RDC had this thing where he said, please stop making podcasts. We don't need any more podcasts. People have been saying this forever. Stop making podcasts. Stop making podcasts. Don't make podcasts. It's embarrassing to make podcasts. It's embarrassing to make podcasts. But you know what's more embarrassing about making a podcast? What's embarrassing about making a podcast is having a podcast and then quitting your podcast. And then everyone looks at you and realizes that you fail. And that's just another list of things for people to use as ammunition for something you tried to do and didn't succeed at. How guilty do you feel in night when you try to do something and everyone looks at you and says, Wow, you didn't do it. You couldn't do it. You would have never been able to ever pull it off. I often find myself stressed, tired, lonely, trying my very best. It's 7:30 right now at night. I have papers and things to do. I finished a test an hour ago. Yet I am here to talk to you on a podcast episode that I have no idea how it's going to come on Monday, 2 days before my birthday, which I will be editing and working on this on. Something that I do not really want to work on. I would rather work on my short films, which I spent money today buying a dry erase board just to have more time to write down my agenda. But the only thing I could write down was record the podcast episode and edit the clips. The only thing I could write down was that. And yet sometimes I feel like I don't want to do this. Yet I do it anyway. And is it okay to quit sometimes? Maybe. Maybe it's okay to quit sometimes, but maybe it's okay to just keep pushing on because Gary Vee said in one of his books that if you don't quit, you will eventually win, but no one knows that to be for real. No one knows how long it would take. It could take me 8 years. It could take me 10 years. It could take me 40 years to do this. Yet on the 10th episode, and most podcasts don't make it to episode 21, like we said in previous episodes. I repeat the same slogan that I want to kind of do. Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. Keep pushing. Keep trying. Keep grinding. Yet, I am exhausted of this. I want a break to figure out what my plan is for my future and to figure out and to have less responsibilities. I sometimes think to myself, what would I do if this podcast didn't exist? How would I make my money? How would I? The plan was this was going to help me make money. The reason we started the podcast in the very beginning, and I'll be completely honest with you, we started this podcast so we can interview people and talk to them, and they could help me, and I could introduce them to the fact that I'm also a director. And then through that, we would then eventually gain some type of funding. But even that sounds like it's just a good plan in concept, but in reality, I don't know if it really will work. And there's no guarantee it will. You're going to want to quit a lot in your life. You're going to want to give up. You're going to want to put up the towel. You're going to want to quit the team, quit the relationship, quit on everything. Never try again. That's what they say. Once you quit, it's really hard to come back. That's what they say. Once you quit doing the gym, oh man, it's going to take you years before you walk back in those middle doors to pick up another weight because you'll be so far lucky because you quit and you're free in life and you have more free time to do bad habits and take drugs and do things that you know that you shouldn't be doing to make yourself feel better, to make yourself do it the easy way. That's what you tell yourself, right? That's what you do every single day. You wake up and you just take the easy route. You wake up and you're not tired. You wake up and you're upset because you don't want to do this and you're doing it and you don't want to do it and it hurts you because oh man, it hurts. I talked about the timeline of change last episode, the timeline of change. And I think about it because to me, this week has been such a blur that I almost didn't think. I thought last episode was already queued up to go up next week, but in reality, it's already up. I just have to finish the clips. And I'm tired. I'm 2 episodes backlogged on edits. I don't really want to record. I have to record. And I'm here. Now, these first 11 minutes of this podcast right here weren't about me complaining. That was not the purpose of them at all. These episodes are these moments I'm talking to you about are the moments I think that I can relate to you and be completely honest when I say this is that I am tired and I want to quit. And I don't want to quit. But I want to quit. And sometimes when I was running cross country, I remember I wanted to quit many times and I didn't quit. And I was the last person to walk there in the finish line. But everyone cheered, right? Because you made it. Because making it is the goal of everything. You know, success is the worthy idea of a goal and achieving it. It's the progression of it. It's all the stuff I've been talking to you about. But in reality, it's tiring. It's not easy to wake up every single day and think that, hey, Thursday's coming up. Thursday's when I record. I can't work a double shift on a Thursday because I have a podcast that no one listens to that I have a responsibility to do every Thursday. I say I'm going to record. I've been doing it for the last 10 weeks. It's the 10th episode. It's 11th episode next week. I want to motivate you, but I want your motivation first. I remember something very inspiring for me, And this is a cry for help, by the way, a cry for someone to comment. And if you watch this video, you make it this far, can you please comment, keep going? If you're watching this far and you actually believe that this podcast has some type of worth or has done something to you, can you please type in the comments, keep going? Can you please save this video? Because honestly, I want to quit. But I'm recording this podcast anyway, even though I kind of want to quit. I think here's the truth. Here's honesty. This is the best honesty you're ever going to get. I wanted to quit years ago when I was on a project. I was on a project making a short film. And on that short film, I was really struggling because I was like, I was half $2,500 down. $2,000 down on my budget goal for making this film. I wanted to make this film for 2,500 more, and I didn't have that, and I was stressed because I had half the budget. I was stressed because I had half the budget. I was scrambling everywhere. I was working as many shifts as I could. I was trying to scrawny up every single bit of money I had at this age of high school trying to make this movie. And I already had enough of the money I wanted. I already had somebody gave me some money before to make this film. And I really wanted to do this. And I really tried hard. And I really, really worked so hard to get to this goal. And you know what happened? I never made that goal. I never made that goal. I never made that money. I never got it back. I never did it. I never got that 2,500 right before I wanted to start production. And production was coming, and the crew was waiting, and the budgets were out, and everything was ready, and the client was ready, and everybody, the locations were all locked up. Everything was saying, hey, this movie's about to be made, and you're not ready. And as the director, you can never not be ready because it's your movie. You have to be ready all the time. You have to be superhuman. You have to do everything the right way. You have to do everything the right way. You have to, because it's your movie. That's what they tell you in film school. That's what they tell you in real life. And I'm here to tell you right now is that's a lie. Nobody is perfect. Nobody has all the money. Nobody has all the budget. At any level of management or any level of professionability, everybody is slacking. Everybody is slacking or missing or not having enough. Everybody kind of wants to quit, but the key is to not quit. The key is to not give up. The key is not to give up. The key is to keep running and moving forward despite all the bad stuff that happens. The key is to shut up and do it anyway, even though you don't have it in you to keep moving on. Because success is not determined by making it, really. And here's the truth. Success, and I'll be honest with you, and this is a definition I'm making up on the spot. I would argue the journey matters a lot more than what people may think. You know, one thing they tell you in film school or movie school, and they're right. They're right about this, by the way. They're right. But a lot of people tell you this. They say, hey, don't go when you're making your movie. Don't make a bad movie. Because here's the truth, guys. No one's going to care if you make a bad movie and they see the movie. No one's going to care about the fact that you didn't have half the budget. No one's going to care if you didn't have the money. No one's going to care. That's the interesting part about it, right? No one's going to care. No one is going to get it's weird, right? You worked your butt off on all this stuff that's happening behind the scenes, behind the magic curtain and Wizard of Oz, behind all the magic things, everything, but nobody's going to care what you do. No one cares. No one is going to care how hard you worked at the project. No one's going to care because guess what? They don't have to care. They don't have to care that outside this podcast, I have a bunch of stuff. I have family in the hospital. I'm rushing back from the hospital. I'm grinding my butt off to do all this stuff. No one cares about that. They care about the final goal and the project and the topic. And the topic is what? Quitting. No one cares about this stuff. No one really cares most of the time. Most people don't care. But here's the truth about it. That caring is not their responsibility to care. It's not the audience who's supposed to pull from your experiences. It's you pulling from your experiences. Okay? So whatever you're going through, you take that experience and you absorb it and stop trying to make the world shove it. Don't shove the whole wisdom you've gained in your life down other people's throats. And that's ironic because it's a podcast. They would argue that's what I'm doing now. But what I'm saying is that I think most people have this problem because they feel like they have an obligation to explain themselves to everyone. It's like the world has almost made us feel like we have to come to the altar and bend down and pray and repent. But sometimes you don't have to repent. Sometimes you just need to suck it up, shake your head, and just say, oops, sorry, and keep moving on. Because the world's too short for everybody to feel guilty all the time. Everyone's so guilty, but everyone is guilty. Everyone is guilty of something. Everyone's done wrong. Nobody's perfect, yet you feel like you have this obligation to come up to the screen and not be honest about what you're doing. Lying and honesty is one of the things that Jim Rohn has in his book, Unshakable. And who you should be always honest with is yourself. And a lot of people aren't honest with themselves. I'm not very honest with myself sometimes. Not even sometimes, mostly all the time, probably. I probably lie to myself a lot, but this message is not Titus talking. This message is Young Clarity talking. This is the messages I say. I watch my own podcast to motivate me sometimes. Because when my life gets tough and when I get tired, I say, hey, I need to listen to my podcast because I know what I'm talking about. Because that guy on the screen has a lot more common sense than me right now. Has a lot more understanding of how he really gets what I'm saying. Is that weird? Is that weird to be that two-faced with yourself? I'm here to tell you that you are not perfect. You can quit, and quitting is okay. But I ask you again, I say, why quit when tomorrow? I saw this clip today. A guy said this. He said, tomorrow is very, very hard. Tomorrow is a very hard day. Tomorrow is going to be tough. Tomorrow is going to be dangerous. But the next day after tomorrow is going to be great, perfect, and nice. It's going to be a great day. The catch is most people don't make it till past tomorrow evening. Most people are almost there and they give up right then and there. There's a lot of motivational speakers out there. There's a lot of people. I'm not a motivational speaker at all. I'm not a motivational speaker. Although I put it in my TikTok highlights, I'm not. I'm just a guy who sits in front of a camera and talks to you in the microphone in his room, who genuinely is living life the same as you day to day and comes to talk about his experiences weekly and gets a little bit better at speaking in front of a camera, gets a little bit better at speaking in front of people, gets a little bit better at speaking. And I take that same knowledge I have and I go and use it in my day-to-day tasks. I'm a guy who works jobs. He can't work his full creative job. I'm not full-time director. I work a job, man. I work at a restaurant. Be completely real with you. Completely honest with you when I say that. I'm not perfect. I'm young. It's young clarity. I'm living the average young life. I go to college. I'm tired. I study. I read books. I like reading. But sometimes I can't read all the books I buy. I buy probably not the best things. I don't have a great understanding and grasp of the political status of America. Although my first episode was about the political status of that area. And just to let you know, a little time update, debate was just over. And I'm terrified because for some reason the world seems like it's acting like it's about to end right before I get started. And that's scary. And I think a lot of people can be scared too. But I think one thing I can say right now that can motivate you is that, hey, even though it's loud outside, try and try and try to find the peace within. Because although it's loud outside, it only gets bad if it gets loud in here. This is the motivational podcast, right? That's what people say it is. It's not. It's not a book. It's not a podcast about self-help. It's a podcast about being young in a climate of being and trying to find a little bit more understanding, trying to grow a little bit more. This is a podcast to help you see things differently. Meaning, hey, you're going to have to want to quit. You're going to want to give up. You're going to want to be tired. You're going to be tired a lot. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to be exhausted. Okay? And you have to come up here and still talk anyway. One thing I grew up learning is that I grew up hating my voice. Now I have a podcast. How ironic is that? Younger me would have never believed I would have had a podcast because I hated my voice. I thought my voice sucked. I still kind of don't like my voice too much because, I don't know, It's not as deep as most people's voices are. It's a little bit more high pitched and happy. I got a happy voice. But I think I'm grateful for what I've been given in my life. And right now, even though it's hard and tough, I'm thankful it is. Because at the time it was worse. It was a worse time. But now things are getting better. When you want to quit in life, you're going to want to quit. The key to not quitting is this: remember where you came from, remember why you started, remember who you're going for and fighting for. If it's just you, then you have all the right to quit. Because if it's just you and you're tired, you're not doing a good job of pleasing you. But if it's for somebody else, or for a group of people, or for a cause or a mission, remember that mission and keep pushing forward on that. Lastly, remember what your destination is. A lot of people walk not for the fun of it. Most people walk to get to a destination. And it doesn't mean it's point A or point B, but sometimes it's income to this income, money or lifestyle, education to this. All of these things come together to realize one thing is that you are walking towards something. Living and 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 living has taught me it. Going on 19 years old, 19, that I don't have all the answers. I won't know all the answers, and it will get worse from here. The next 10 years might be the hardest 10 years of my life and the best 10 years of my life. It only depends on how I treat today. I'm going to start taking action today to stop complaining, to wake up and realize that I have an opportunity here to talk to you guys. And even though I'm not the most woke podcast, alpha male podcast, I'm recording a little podcast that talks to little people to motivate them. I think that most people can relate with me because I'm similar to them. And I'm not a macho goddess or an unreal statistic. I'm an average college student trying to talk to people. So thank you for listening to episode 10 of the Young Clarity Podcast. Thank you for listening to episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and back to 10. Again, thank you for listening. Because even though it's episode 10 and most podcasts end at episode 21, I hope we make it to episode 21 just so I can look back at this podcast and say thank you for not quitting. This is the podcast to help you see things differently. And I am so thankful that you have let me have the opportunity to even help you see things differently. If I ever helped you see things differently, leave a like, leave a comment, motivate me, because I need it, because I'm not perfect. My name is Titus Rhodes, and this is Young Clarity, podcast to help you see things a little bit differently. Have a great Monday, everybody. Have a great week. Have a great week. Which is week. I'm not going to say month. I'm going to talk to you again. It's very great to be back on here, and it's very great to be with you. It's very great to know you. Don't quit. And if you do quit, that's okay too. Have a great day.